Good morning or good afternoon, House District 60, depending on what time you read the email. We're just finishing up week 8 at the legislative session, and things are got busy, real busy. In fact, Monday morning at 8:40, I had 3 bills up that I was supposed to testify at the same time. One in ag and everything else, one in judiciary, and one in economic development. The one that was in rules was HJR 12. We've talked about it a little bit before. It's the reforming of the initiative petition process. Where currently, there's 6% of the signatures that need to be gathered from those that voted in the last gubernatorial election to make a non constitutional change. And they gather all those signatures typically in the metro area. What this would do was cause the signature gatherers to go out to every congressional district and get the qualifying amount of signatures per congressional district to make sure that all of us have the opportunity to weigh in before something will end up on the ballot. It's a good bill. It has quite a bit of opposition because the initiative petition process is kind of unique in Oregon. I do value the initiative petition process, but I do want to make sure that all Oregonians have a chance to weigh in and not just keeping it metro focused. So I'll continue to update you on that bill and see how it goes. The other bill we had up at the same time, and they actually had to hold the committee for, is House Bill 3104. One of my priorities that I've pointed out this year is the Rural Resource Community Center. It does come with an $8 million price tag. So $2 million of that goes to economic development districts that have been doing great work in all of our counties. And the other $6 million actually goes to complement the work that they're doing. $3 million would go to put 7 FTE people out through rural Oregon to try to work with our small cities and counties. Our small cities and counties below 10,000 population have great staff. They do, but they don't always have the expertise in every portion of the staff that's needed compared to how you apply for the grant or how you have a concept of something that you want to do, how you develop a capital stack, how you work through the permits, the construction, the implementation, and finishing up the project. Sometimes we're lacking in different expertise that some of our big cities or counties would. This provides that professional staff to go out and help them. And also it sets up a leverage fund. So the state would put $3 million of that $8 million into a fund. We'd pull in private and philanthropic funding that would easily match or be more than the $3 million, so that we can actually apply some funding to some of the infrastructure and some of the projects that our small cities and counties need. That's House Bill 3104. Had a good public hearing, had good support, working and plan on getting a work session and send down the Ways and Means. We'll keep you up to date. Also in ag and everything else on Monday, we had one of the transfer bills that was supported by the agricultural community that pretty much locks in the current transfer process that occurs in the state of Oregon. There's 2 transfer bills on the Senate side that have more of an environmental thread to them that want a public interest review. They're definitely conflicting. Uh, we're going to continue to monitor all 3 of those bills, keep you informed on how they work through the process. But they'll probably get extended past the first session deadline and end up in a rules committee, so we have time to actually give them the time that they deserve and see what their realm of possibilities are. I'll keep you in the loop and I'll talk a little bit more about session deadlines here in a few minutes. On Wednesday, I testified against a bill. Typically, I don't testify against bills in committee. There's a lot of times I have opposition to bills once they get on the floor. I give speeches in opposition to bills, but I believe only 3 times in this being my 6th year that I've actually gone to a committee and testified against a bill. Uh, and why is this bill's a tough one? It's House Bill 2584. House Bill 2584. We put out an alert along with Farm Bureau and many other people this weekend. It sets up basically a bureaucratic board that would determine what are the training requirements, salary requirements, takes away the at-will employee for our farms and ranches. No other industry are employees not considered at will unless they're in the public sector. But they were trying to do that for agriculture. There's over 30,000 family-owned farms and ranches across the state of Oregon. 97% of the farms and ranches across the state of Oregon are family-owned from all 4 corners of the state. Like I said, over 30,000, but each one of those family farms and ranches has a different set of issues, a different employee need, a different employee-employer relationship, but we're all facing many challenges. Farm wages are already 70% higher in the state of Oregon than across the national average. And this bill will have if it passes, will bankrupt a lot of our small family farms and ranches because we're just not going to be able to afford employees, nor are we going to have the flexibility to work with them, figure out scheduling. As some of you know, that a lot of times during cabin season, planting season, harvest season, schedules go out the door. We work a lot. We work with Mother Nature, but in the off times, we appreciate our employees. They have time with the family, go to school events. It's more of a relationship-based employment. This bill would ruin that. What I asked the committee there at the end is, how many of you want to see more factory farms? Nobody raised their hand. I said, how many of you want to see more corporate farms? Nobody raised your hand. I said, a vote for this bill will cause more factory farms, will cause more corporate farms. Because what you're going to do is cause those farms that become big enough that they can have employees, 3 schedules, 8 hours a day, and there's going to be a number. It's not going to be good for family farms and ranches in the state of Oregon. It's not going to be good for the employees that we value and we have and we want to have to make our operations work. That's House Bill 2584. We'll keep you up to date on that one. Thursday in Judiciary on the House side, they had an informational hearing that was on gun violence and suicide prevention. And I'm fearful that this is the first attempt to bring in what the gun bills will be. There's an issue with suicide in Oregon. The causal factor isn't guns. Most of the causal factor is mental health, disease, drugs, and alcohol. And the tool sometimes they use is a gun. But they're going to use this in order to try to restrict our Second Amendment rights. They're going to use this to bring forward the gun bill for 25. Senator Finley and I always say, and I still agree, there'll always be a gun bill in the long session. This informational hearing that happened in the Judiciary on Thursday is the start of that conversation. I'll keep you guys up to date, and we'll keep tracking it to let you know how we can work against whatever bill comes forward. On the Senate side, we had a hearing on House Current Resolution 12. It's the one we've talked about before, Oregon Wheat Day. It'll make February 11th, 2026 Oregon Wheat Day to celebrate our wheat farmers. A good bill. We'll make it through the Senate. We'll make it through both chambers, and we'll be celebrating, I am positive, Oregon Wheat Day, February 11th, 2026, which is actually the 100-year anniversary of when 200 wheat farmers came together and started the first wheat commodity corporation in the state of Oregon. Another bill that I haven't talked about, I don't believe, that's on the House side that we're paying attention to as we get to work session deadlines, is House Bill 3182. House Bill 3182. And it actually provides a continued funding for navigators in our community college. So navigators is a position that was created in 2021 that has them go into the community colleges and universities, work with our first-time college kiddos, work with those transitioning to college, make sure they figure out how to get federal funding they need, how to fill out FAFSA forms, how to get housing, food, medical supplies. They just do invaluable service. In fact, I met with Dana Young from Walton Valley Community College this last week and some of her board members. Thank you for coming down. And we talked about the success that these student navigators have had in TVCC. It's a program that I've supported since 2021 and will continue to support. It's not a new program. The policy will pass. We're just going to have to fight for the funding in ways and means. Talking about the session deadlines. So next Friday, March 21st, all bills have to be scheduled for a work session. If they're not, they're in a policy committee on one of the chambers that's not joint, the bill will be dead. So by next Friday at 5 p.m., we will understand the amount of bills that are still alive, and more importantly, the amount of bills that haven't. Then, as we said previously, by April 9th, they have to be worked out of a policy committee in either chamber. Have a good weekend.